Amidst the blaring car horns and the gray smoke of a sleepless city, destinies have silently shattered, leaving behind a beautiful and haunting pain of sacrifice. Hill Street Blues is not just a classic crime film, it's an anthem of broken souls, a story of humanity, loss, and fateful choices that have been etched into the hearts of generations. But when the spotlight faded, time began its cruel journey, destroying and changing those familiar faces in ways no script could have foreseen. More than 4 decades have passed. Some are still quietly moving forward, but others have vanished into thin air, making their return today more poignant and heavy than ever. In this video, we will revisit the film of their lives to learn the real names, ages, and current lives of the cast members from back then. Please try to watch the entire video because the most heartbreaking moments are those final seconds. Are you ready to face the cruelty of time behind those police badges? Weigh on. Daniel J. Travanti. Daniel J. Travanti, born March 7, 1940, became unforgettable as Captain Frank Furillo in Hill Street Blues, 1981 to 1987. Calm, tired, principled, and quietly compassionate, Furillo was not a loud television hero. He was a man carrying the weight of a city on his shoulders. In 2026, Travanti is 86 years old, and his story is still one of life, not farewell. His journey has been defined by a victory over his own inner precinct. Long before it was common for stars to be open about their struggles, Daniel was a pioneer in discussing his battle with alcoholism. He has been sober since the early 1980s, a feat he considers more significant than any Emmy win. After the final roll call of Hill Street Blues in 1987, Daniel chose a path of artistic integrity over Hollywood blockbusters. He returned to the theater, his first love, and took on guest roles that challenged him, rather than just paying the bills. He never succumbed to the tabloid-style tragedies often associated with major stars. Instead, he embraced a life of relative privacy and academic depth. By 2026, his legacy is one of class and substance. With an estimated net worth of $4 million, he lives a life of understated comfort, far from the flash of luxury car collections. In the hearts of the audience, he is still the man telling us to be careful out there. Daniel J. Travanti remains a powerful reminder that true authority comes not from a badge, but from the quiet courage to face one's own shadows. 2. Michael Warren. In Hill Street Blues, 1981 to 1987, Michael Warren played Officer Bobby Hill, the calm, disciplined, and loyal patrolman partnered with Andy Renko. Bobby was steady under pressure, but never cold. He gave the chaotic precinct a sense of quiet decency and human balance. Born on March 5, 1946, in South Bend, Indiana, Warren is 80 years old in 2026, because he is still living. While many actors are consumed by the shadows of Hollywood, Warren's greatest personal hurdle came long before the cameras rolled. A former All-American basketball star at UCLA, he had to navigate the immense pressure of transitioning from a world-class athlete to a serious dramatic actor, a shift that many doubted he could make. His journey after the Hill Street precinct was one of steady, meaningful work. He graced screens in City of Angels and Soul Food, never truly walking away from the craft he fought so hard to master. By 2026, Michael Warren's legacy is defined by a net worth of approximately $5 million. He was never a man for ostentatious car collections, preferring the quiet wealth of a respected career and a healthy body. To the audience today, he is a reminder that the good cop wasn't just a character, he was a reflection of a man who chose integrity over ego. When we see him now, we don't just see an aging actor, we see the steady hand that once kept the Hill Street chaos at bay, still guiding us with a gentle, enduring light. 3. Bruce Weitz. Bruce Weitz was 37 when Hill Street Blues began in 1981, playing Sergeant Michael Mick Belker, the growling undercover cop who looked rough, sounded dangerous, yet often revealed a surprising tenderness underneath. In a series that changed television drama, Belcher was unforgettable. Part street survivor, part lonely son, part wounded man hiding behind a snarl. Born on May 27, 1943 in Norwalk, Connecticut, Weitz is still living. His journey through the years has been one of quiet, steady health, and professional dedication. While many of his contemporaries faced the turbulent Hollywood slide, Weitz maintained a low-profile, healthy lifestyle, focusing on his craft rather than the fleeting glitz of fame. He has often reflected on the intensity of playing Belcher, a role so visceral that it required him to stay in a state of high tension for years, and the profound relief of finding peace in his later, more serene life. His personal life saw an early marriage to actress Cecilia Hart, but he eventually found lasting stability with his wife Vivian Davis, whom he married in 1986. Their decades-long union has been his true sanctuary far from the sirens of Hill Street. By 2026, Bruce Weitz holds a net worth of approximately $4 million. He has never been one for ostentatious car collections, preferring to invest in his family and a quiet life. In the hearts of the audience, he remains the eternal Belcher, a reminder of a time when TV grew up and showed us that heroes don't always wear shiny badges. 4. James B. Sikking. James B. Sikking, born March 5, 1934, became unforgettable as Lieutenant Howard Hunter in Hill Street Blues, 1981 to 1987. Rigid, military-minded, sometimes comic, sometimes frighteningly intense, Hunter gave the precinct one of its strangest but most memorable souls. Sikking died on July 13, 2024, at the age of 90. His final years were a masterclass in aging with grace, though he faced a private battle with dementia toward the end. He spent his twilight hours in the comfort of his Los Angeles home, surrounded by the family he cherished. A detail that moves many fans is that, despite playing a character obsessed with weapons and tactical warfare, Sikking was in reality a gentle, soft-spoken man who found more joy in a game of golf than in the roar of an engine. He left this world peacefully, leaving behind a legacy of professionalism that inspired an entire generation of actors. Beyond the blue, Sikking's life was remarkably stable, a rarity in Hollywood. He enjoyed a legendary marriage to his wife, Florine, which lasted over 60 years. He didn't chase the hollow glitz of the paparazzi, choosing instead to focus on character-driven roles in films like Ordinary People and The Pelican Brief. He was a man who knew the value of a quiet life, often retreating to his beloved garden far from the frantic energy of the studios. 5. Joe Spano. In Hill Street Blues, 1981 to 1987, Joe Spano played Lieutenant Harry Goldblum, a gentle, thoughtful officer whose strength came not from force, but from patience. Goldblum was often the calm voice in a violent precinct, a negotiator, a listener, and a man whose conscience sometimes made police work harder, but more human. Born on July 7, 1946, in San Francisco, California, Spano is 79 years old in 2026, because he is still living. He has navigated the aging process with a grace that mirrors his character's calm demeanor. A detail that truly surprises and touches many fans is his deep, decades-long commitment to his family. He and his wife adopted 2 daughters from China, choosing to build a life centered on global compassion long before it was a common path in Hollywood. It serves as a stirring reminder that the empathy he portrayed on screen wasn't just acting, it was the very fabric of his being. By 2026, Joe Spano's legacy is defined by a net worth of approximately $2 million. He remains far more interested in the craft of storytelling than in a collection of luxury assets. To the audience today, he is the negotiator who taught us that even in the toughest environments, kindness is a form of strength. Seeing him now feels like looking at a finely aged book. The covers may be worn, but the wisdom inside is more relevant than ever. 6. Torian Black. Torian Black was 40 when Hill Street Blues began in 1981, playing Detective Neil Washington, the calm, sharp, streetwise partner of J.D. LaRue. In a precinct full of pressure and broken nerves, Washington carried quiet authority. He did not need to shout to be remembered. His strength was in the steady look, the measured voice, and the feeling that he had seen too much but still cared. Born Herbert Middleton, Jr. In Newark, New Jersey, Black stayed with Hill Street Blues for its full run from 1981 to 1987 and earned an Emmy nomination for Outstanding Supporting Actor in a Drama Series. His final chapter was one of quiet dignity in Atlanta, Georgia. He passed away following a brief illness, surrounded by the family that had become his true life's work. Unlike the chaotic fates of many 80s icons, Black's later years were defined by peace rather than the pressures of fame. He had long shifted his focus from the lens of a camera to the eyes of his children, choosing a path of service that remains more moving than any script he ever performed. By 2026, Torian Black is remembered not for a fleet of luxury cars or a staggering net worth, estimated at approximately $1 million at the time of his passing, hung for his immense human impact. He remains a pillar of 80s nostalgia, a reminder of a time when cool meant having character and responsibility. In the hearts of the audience, Detective Washington is still there, toothpick in place, watching over us with a soulful, timeless grace. 7. Keel Martin, born July 26, 1944, became one of Hill Street Blues' most restless souls as Detective J.D. LaRue. Charming, reckless, talented, and often self-destructive, LaRue was the kind of cop viewers could not fully admire, yet could not forget. Martin died on December 28, 1990, at only 46. His final chapter was a quiet, heartbreaking battle away from the sirens and the grit of the city. Keel succumbed to lung cancer in Rancho Mirage, California. It is a detail that haunts many fans. While his character, LaRue, famously struggled with alcoholism and the demons of the job, Keel himself was fighting a much more physical, terminal enemy behind the scenes. He spent his final months in a gentle retreat, far from the frantic energy of the sets he once dominated. Beyond the badge, Keel's life was a mirror of the intensity he brought to his roles. He was a man of immense talent who found it difficult to navigate the quiet moments between the action and cut of Hollywood. He was married and divorced 3 times, searching for a stability that often eluded him. By 2026, his physical estate, once valued modestly at around $500,000, has been surpassed by the weight of his artistic legacy. He didn't leave behind a fleet of cars or sprawling mansions, but rather a definitive blueprint for the anti-hero detective. Keel Martin remains a flickering, beautiful memory in the hearts of those who remember the 80s. 8. Betty Thomas. In Hill Street Blues, 1981 to 1987, Betty Thomas played Officer Lucy Bates, a tough, principled, and emotionally grounded police officer trying to survive inside a chaotic urban precinct. Lucy was strong without losing compassion, sharp without becoming cold, and one of the women who helped give the series its realism and heart. Born on July 27, 1947 in St. Louis, Missouri, Thomas is 78 years old. While Lucy Bates fought for respect on the streets, Betty fought for a seat in the director's chair. A detail that remains deeply moving occurred at the 1985 Emmys. As she walked up to accept her award, a prankster jumped on stage to steal her moment. She handled the bizarre intrusion with the same cool-headed dignity that Lucy Bates would have shown, a moment that endeared her to millions and proved that her strength was far more than just a scripted role. After the precinct doors closed in 1987, Betty made a bold and permanent shift. She largely stepped away from acting to master the art of directing, becoming the visionary behind hits like the Brady Bunch movie, Dr. Dolittle, and Private Parts. She traded the badge for the megaphone, proving that a woman from Hill Street could command a multi-million-dollar set just as effectively as a squad car. By 2026, Betty Thomas's legacy is towering, with a net worth of approximately $20 million. She is not a woman of flashy car collections or vanity projects. Her wealth is measured in the doors she opened for female directors who followed in her footsteps. And 9. Charles Hyde. Charles Hyde was 37 when Hill Street Blues began in 1981, playing Officer Andrew "Andy" Renko, the rough-edged street cop with a cowboy soul. Beside Bobby Hill, Renko brought humor, danger, and unexpected tenderness to the precinct. He could be loud, stubborn, even reckless, yet beneath that hard exterior was a man slowly learning responsibility. Born on June 2, 1943 in San Francisco, Hyde is still living. A detail that often catches fans off guard is how close we came to never knowing him at all. In that famous pilot, Renko was shot and left for dead. It was only the overwhelming response from test audiences that brought him back to life. After his patrol on Hill Street ended in 1987, Hyde shifted his focus to directing, helming episodes of ER, Breaking Bad, and Criminal Minds. He never fully left the industry, but chose to master the how of storytelling rather than just the who. While his personal life saw 2 marriages that ended in divorce, he found a lasting anchor in his work and his daughters. He lived a life of artistic substance, far removed from the hollow pursuit of luxury car collections or vanity projects. By 2026, Charles Hyde's net worth is estimated at approximately $2 million. He remains a beloved figure among those who remember the golden age of ensemble drama, holding a special place in our hearts as the man who turned a guest spot into a lifetime of influence. 10. Rene Enriquez. Rene Enriquez, born November 24, 1933, became a steady presence on Hill Street Blues as Lieutenant Ray Cayetano. Calm, disciplined, and often caught between loyalty and pressure, Cayetano gave the precinct a quieter kind of authority. Enriquez died on March 23, 1990, at the age of 56. His final days were a quiet, dignified struggle against a shadow that many in that era feared to name. Rene passed away due to complications from AIDS at his home in Tarzana. In a time when the world was often unkind to those suffering from the illness, he kept his battle intensely private. A detail that remains deeply moving is that even as his health declined, he remained a passionate advocate for Hispanic performers, fighting for the respect his character Ray so often demanded on screen but rarely received. After the precinct doors closed in 1987, Rene didn't have the chance to see the full evolution of the industry he helped diversify. He took a few more roles, notably in the Milagro Beanfield War, but his true afterlife was one of courage behind closed doors. By 2026, his estate, estimated at a modest $500,000 at the time of his passing, has been eclipsed by his symbolic worth. He didn't leave behind a fleet of cars, but he left a legacy of quiet strength. Rene Enriquez remains the dignified heart of Hill Street, a reminder that true leadership is often found in the person standing firmly, even when the world refuses to listen. 11. Ed Marinaro. In Hill Street Blues, 1981 to 1987, Ed Marinaro played Officer Joe Coffey, the handsome, brave, and sometimes impulsive young cop whose romance with Lucy Bates added tenderness to the precinct's hard daily rhythm. Joe was strong, loyal, and eager to prove himself, but there was also softness in him, the kind that made his story feel painfully human. Born on March 31, 1950 in New York City, Marinaro is 76 years old. For Ed, the greatest challenge wasn't the transition to Hollywood, but the shadow of his former life as an NFL runner-up for the Heisman Trophy. He had to fight the jock stereotype to be taken seriously as a dramatic actor. While he remains in excellent health today, those who know his story are moved by his resilience in navigating the physical toll of his football years while maintaining a decades-long career. After leaving the precinct, Ed's career took a lighter turn as he starred in Sisters, and later found a cult following as Coach Marty Daniels in Blue Mountain State. He never truly left the industry, choosing roles that allowed him to blend his athletic past with his seasoned acting chops. Personally, he found stability later in life, marrying Tracy York in 2001, showing that a peaceful second half is possible after the whirlwind of early fame. By 2026, Ed Marinaro's legacy is secured with an estimated net worth of $3 million. He lives a comfortable life, valuing his health and family over a fleet of luxury cars. 12. Robert Hirschfeld. Robert Hirschfeld was in his late 40s when he appeared on Hill Street Blues as Leo Schnitz, a street-level figure who belonged to the show's rough, restless city world. He was not one of the grand, heroic faces of the precinct, but that was the power of the series. Even smaller characters felt real, worn down by life, and shaped by the same streets the officers walked every day. Born on June 8, 1942 in New York City, his transition into the later years has been one of graceful privacy. While many of his co-stars remained under the bright lights, Robert maintained a remarkably healthy and steady life, choosing to distance himself from the physical and mental toll of the Hollywood grind. He has lived with a focus on personal well-being, avoiding the health crises that often plague veteran actors, and has found peace in the simplicity of a life lived on his own terms. After the precinct doors finally closed in 1987, Robert continued to work in the industry, appearing in shows like Law and Order and The Commish, but he increasingly moved toward his first love, the stage. He eventually stepped back from the Hollywood camera to focus on theater and literature, finding a richer satisfaction in the intimate connection of live performance. By 2026, Robert Hirschfeld's net worth is estimated at approximately $1 million. He never felt the need for a fleet of luxury cars or a sprawling estate, preferring a home filled with books and memories over material excess.